All right, yes. We're coming to you live. A little bit of the theme song playing from BFTAA and More Show. For those of you that are watching on Facebook or YouTube or over on Periscope now, yeah, glad to see our Twitter listeners coming to us. You can't hear the music that's playing right now, but it's The Art of Invention by Jair Dinas. And we play that as a theme song. You can listen to all of our audio broadcasts. You can hear that if you have the TuneIn app. If you go to the TuneIn, which is an app you can use on your phone, your tablet, all of that, or to www.kuaw.org, then you can hear the audio side of our radio station, and it broadcasts 24/7. So not only do we broadcast these shows that you see live here, but there's something going on 24/7 at KUAW.org. So if you go to www.kuaw.org, or if you have the TuneIn app and you go to TuneIn and search KUAW, you'll be able to hear us all the time. You'll hear the theme song. You hear a little bit more going on in the background. We can't play that music on Facebook and YouTube because of copyright issues. We are licensed with BMI to play it over the air on our audio only broadcast. So we're on 24/7. You pick us up right now if you like us or something. It probably came in and told you that we're on live right now and you can join it, which is good. But there's something going on 24/7 on this radio station, and we're glad to bring it to you. So all you have to do is listen to the audio portion. Then when we come in live, you can join us on our live broadcast. So that's the thing that we want you to do, and we'll tell you, when we're coming. We also have a calendar on the web page. Needs a little bit of updating and stuff. I've been a little bit lax on that job, but I want to get that up that tells you when the shows are coming on, and you can listen to the shows that are live that we're on when we broadcast here. So when you see us here, we want you to be there. But yeah, glad that you're here. Glad that you're here. It was a good weekend, Juneteenth weekend. I hope everybody celebrated, had a nice time with it, and not just celebrated, but remembered. Because it's one thing about the Juneteenth, it is a day of celebration, the red color, the picnics and things that happen. But if you look back at what it meant, and what it meant was when the last part of the revolting South that were in rebellion, the last parts of them were notified that they were free. They had been free for more than years, but since Texas and the other states were still in that state of rebellion, well, they didn't tell their slaves that they were free because they were fighting to keep them in slavery. So when the war was finally over, when the troops were able to get into all parts of the South, they were able to let the slaves know that they had been free, that the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed slaves in all states that were in rebellion. And you have to remember that if you know your history. All slaveholding states were not in rebellion, so there were some states that the Emancipation Proclamation did not apply to. If you were a state that had slaves, but you were fighting on the north side or on the Union side, when that happened, you could still keep your slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation didn't apply to you. It only applied to states that were in rebellion. So even at that time in April, when they got down there and let them know that they were free, that didn't mean freedom for all African Americans, all enslaved people in America. There were some states, I don't know all of them by name, but I believe Kentucky and I think Maryland and some other states that were actually part of the North, but they were slave-holding states. So there was no freedom for those slaves, those enslaved people, until the 13th Amendment was passed in Congress. So, you got to remember the whole thing. But June 19th in Texas, in the South, was when they really got their freedom, when they really knew that they were free. That was a thing that a lot of the people up in the North, especially even up to this day, didn't know about that because it wasn't as big a celebration as it was in the South, in Texas and Louisiana, and then through other southern states. But now it has become nationally known. and I was listening to a broadcast here in Kansas City and saying that there was a celebrations that went on in the Kansas City area up until into the 1920s, and for some reason, which we'd have to do some more checking, they stopped, and we didn't have Juneteenth. So I grew up here in Kansas City, and we didn't celebrate the 19th of June. At least at our house didn't, until it was like in 1980 when Horace Peterson and then brought this celebration back to Kansas City, that we started hearing more about Juneteenth, what it was about, and all of that. And then I talked with some of my older relatives, and they said, "Oh yeah, we celebrated it when we were down in Louisiana." Said the stores were closed and everything, in the little small town that our family came from. But when they got up to Kansas City, I know my mother and father, they didn't celebrate. They had a couple of cousins and stuff up here, and I didn't know of anybody that celebrated it. But now it has taken on a national significance, and Juneteenth this year really became a national event, and it's about time. It's due that we recognize that huge movement that ended slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation that was really the nail in the coffin. It was you weren't going to be able to hold the slaves in those other few states after the war was over. I mean, I think they saw the handwriting on the wall. The 13th Amendment just went ahead and abolished slavery in totality. So, that's a little bit of history. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good Father's Day. I had a great Father's Day. My son came by, heard from the grandkids and the other boys, and everybody just called, and I got text messages and things like that. So it was great. Father's Day is a great celebration also, that you get a chance to kind of get recognized as being a father. It's like Mother's Day. I mean, those are times when it's good to let people know that you're thinking about them. And I do appreciate all the people that sent me something on Facebook and text me. If I didn't get to reply thank you to it, take that thank you from me right now, because I definitely did appreciate everything that I did receive from everybody. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much for thinking about me. So yeah, we're here. It's Monday. It's Monday in Kansas City, and we're going. I had a lot of good things at the end of the week. I did some checking on things in the 19th. So I'll tell you a little bit about, went to a gathering of some of the people that were are doing the protesting, and they had a Juneteenth celebration, and I'll tell you about that when I come back. It was really a great thing. I enjoyed myself down there, and met some really interesting young people. So I thought it was good. If you haven't been out to any of the protests or met some of the people that are protesting, those of us that may be of another generation, it might be good for you to go down there and check them out. Give them your support, not just saying, well, they're out there doing it and stuff. Let them know that, yeah, you appreciate what they're doing, that you understand, and that you even empathize with what they are doing. Because they're making another step, and they're looking at future generations. So a lot of times we want to lean back and say what happened in the 60s and stuff. Well, we paved some ways back then. The generation then did do some things, and now it's time for that next generation to move the post even farther, to accomplish more. And we're so glad that they are taking up the banner and continuing in this struggle. So we'll talk about that. But as we do every week, we want to talk a little bit or show you a little bit about what's going on at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Since this is BFTAA and more, which stands for the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, who in partnership with the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center here in Kansas City, Missouri, came together to form a radio station, and we called it Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. KUAW. That's right. So we broadcast over the internet. We broadcast live. We broadcast on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We're just everywhere, and we're trying to get in. We're going to probably get on Twitch if we get us a little gaming show that we're going to run out of here. We'll throw that on Twitch. We want to get out in all of the platforms to help share and spread that knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that we have right here in our community. So in keeping with that, and for all these graduates, a lot of you getting out of high school, getting ready to go to college, hopefully you have dreams of becoming maybe an engineer, a scientist, mathematician, something that you're working with. That's what we're about, is the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So we like to encourage young people to go into those fields. We need more of you. Yeah, more of you young people involved in the sciences, in the engineering fields, and doing great things, coming up with good inventions, solving problems that have been plaguing us for years, because we know you can find the answer to it. So let's check out what's going on at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration with a little bit that they call This Week at NASA. See if we can fire that up for you.
In the right direction for Artemis, closing in on the launch of our next Mars rover, and the latest progress in our quest for quiet supersonic flight. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. The rocket boosters that will help power our first Artemis flight test were transported in segments from Northrop Grumman's manufacturing facility in Promontory, Utah to our Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Crews will now work to assemble and eventually integrate the boosters with our Space Launch System, or SLS rocket, which will send an uncrewed Orion spacecraft around the moon on this mission known as Artemis 1. It is the first in a series of increasingly complex missions to test Orion and SLS as an integrated system to send the first woman and next man to the moon by 2024. The launch window for our Mars 2020 Perseverance rover mission opens on July 20th. The mission marks humanity's first step in returning samples from another planet to Earth. It will also search for signs of past microbial life on Mars, characterize the planet's climate and geology, and pave the way for human exploration of the red planet.
We're moving forward rapidly with these very important Mars robotic precursor missions, so that one day when we send humans to Mars, we're going to know where to go to get the absolute best science and data that we can get.
The Mars 2020 Perseverance rover will land at Mars's Jezero crater on February 18, 2021. The wing and cockpit sections of our X-59 quiet supersonic technology are coming together at a Lockheed Martin assembly plant in Southern California. When complete, the X-59 will be put through a series of ground and flight tests to ensure its airworthiness and its ability to create a low-noise sonic boom that can barely be heard, if at all, by people on the ground. This recently released mosaic of Nightingale, the primary sample site on asteroid Bennu for our OSIRIS-REx mission, is comprised of 345 images. The images were captured by the spacecraft during a reconnaissance pass just 820 feet above the site in early March. OSIRIS-REx is scheduled to make its first sample collection attempt at Nightingale on October 20th. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/TWAN.
All right. That's what's going on at NASA this week. See if I can get me back in here with you guys. Hey, there we are. How you doing? Yep. Can't lose me that easy. Back right here with you. This is George Walker. I'm the president of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, a 16-year-old group right here in Kansas City, Missouri, that is about providing a closing that digital divide that exists in the African American community with technology. You know, we're a lot of times our schools are not as equipped as some others. That was really brought out with this COVID-19 thing, that some schools were able to pivot real quickly to home learning, online learning, to where some other schools, and a lot of them in urban settings, weren't able to pivot as quick to the online learning. They hadn't been using it through the year as much due to economic reasons, due to some planning issues and availability of equipment and things like that. But it did show up that there were other schools that were better prepared and able to make that transition. And we need to make sure that our kids are able to make that use of the online technology. We should be using that every day. It shouldn't be at an emergency that we try to see how we can get all the kids equipped with a tablet, how all the kids can get online, how the teachers can be ready with online lessons. That should be something that's part of standard practice. But it's not necessarily the case. And, you know, I don't want to point the blame at any one factor and stuff, because I think all of us play a part in it, just not just the administrators, not just the principals, not just the teachers, but the parents, but the community, that we're not involved, we're not supporting, we're not encouraging, and we're not demanding that some of these things be improved in rapid succession. So there's things that we should be doing, all of us, to make sure that our kids have a better stake and are able to participate in this new economy, in this new technological world with full effect, as well as any others in the community. So, you know, we hope that we can get on board with it, that the next school year starting up, if they have to use technology, that we're ready for it and that our students are ready and able to be able to use and take advantage of the technologies and to move forward. But, you know, that's part of the soapbox that we fight and we've been working with for years. And we're always open to suggestions. So if you want to contact the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, if you would like to help, if you want to join in on this organization, get in touch with us. We're meeting right now on the second Saturdays of every month at 11 a.m. We've been doing an online meeting. If you're interested in that, send us an email to bftaa@sbcglobal.net. So that's bftaa@sbcglobal.net. And you can join in on these meetings. They're free, they're open to the public, and we're glad to have more people involved in it, working with our youth, working with all the people that want to see things get better in the community, in the city, in the world, because you can't leave one section behind and expect that everything else is going to be all right. So we're finding that we have to make it good for everybody. So that's what we want you to do. Yeah, I went down Juneteenth. Juneteenth was last Friday, and I went down to Spring Valley Park here in Kansas City, Missouri. Spring Valley Park is a old park in the urban core. We used to go there when I was a kid, it was a long time ago. I was going to Morning Star Church, and they actually used to have the Easter egg hunt down in Spring Valley Park. So I've had some trips down to Spring Valley Park for sure, you know, looking for Easter eggs and little picnicking. And then as we got into the 70s, they even had concerts down there. I had went and saw Ramsey Lewis and other people live down there in Spring Valley Park. So it's a nice park. It has been fixed up. Kansas City Parks and Recreation has done a good job. They got a little pond down there that they didn't have before, and playground equipment. It's really nice. So there was a group that it was 619 was national organization or national event to have Juneteenth events held in cities across the country. It was on the web. If you saw it on our Facebook page, it was called 619. And if you went to 619, you could find local events. And I found that there was a local event going on at the Spring Valley Park. So I said, well, let me go down there and check out this. And I went down there. There was people, and it started off raining in the morning, but they were supposed to start at 3 o'clock. I think they started a little bit later, but it was nice. I got down there about 4:30. A lot of young people. They were cooking hot dogs, hamburgers. They had cookies and chips and water. Really nice. It was a very diverse crowd. There were all stripes of people there, which was really great. And so I came down, and I was probably one of the oldest people down there, but but that's okay and stuff. You know, they didn't run me off, and I appreciate that from them. But I met a couple of groups that were down there, and I'm hoping to have some of these groups come on the radio station to talk about the protest, because they've been working here on the protesting that's been going on in the plaza ever since the George Floyd murder took place up in Minneapolis. And I met some people with a group. One was called the Black Rainbow. One was One Struggle KC, which they have been in Kansas City before the Floyd incident. They've been working with incarcerated people, trying to pay bonds and stuff on people that are in jail for no other reason than the fact that they don't have money to pay a bond to get out. So it's not about innocence or guilt, but sometimes it's just if you don't have money, you've got to wait in jail. And that's something that they've been fighting, because you're considered innocent until proven guilty. But if you can't make your bond, you're in jail. You may be in jail for months before you find out where you're innocent and we can let you go. But you've already lost that time. So they work with that type of issue. The people from the Black Rainbow, basically from what they were telling me, had just started with the protest. They had got together, and people that had met each other and stuff at the protest down on the plaza. And I had two names, and boy, I left that paper at home that I had the two people's names on. Y'all forgive me if you're out there. There was a young lady, and she was a recent college graduate. She graduated, she said, in 2017, and another gentleman there from the Black Rainbow. And I'll have your names next week, guys, and put it out there. But I do want to offer the invitation for One Struggle KC, and I believe they've been on the radio station back a while back. I forget whose show they were on, but I'd like to invite them back, and also the Black Rainbow, to come and let's have a panel discussion here at KUAW Radio, and not just talk about George Floyd, but talk about the whole protest movement that is going on right now. So we want to open that door and make this platform available to them, that they can use this to talk to the people, talk to the community about what it is that we're working on, or they are working on with the protest that is ongoing here in Kansas City, Missouri, down on the plaza. But they had a real nice event. They had a lot of different people there. They had people that had been working in the struggle. They had a guy that was self-proclaimed revolutionary. They had a guy that had a socialist agenda. They had people that were there to get people out of jail. They had medical people there. It was just a whole group of people that are working together to help bring about change. And I think that's what we need to see, is a lot of the young people out, and we need to see different voices. We don't all have the same opinion or the same idea of how to make things better, but we need to work together and talk together in order to come together. And I think that they're doing a great job, and really do appreciate those guys that were out there. But yeah, it was fun. That was on Juneteenth right here in Kansas City. I know they also had the prayer line on Truce, the arms locked together. I think it was 10 miles long on Truce. Some whole bunch of people out there that were praying for change, praying for healing on the Truce corridor, and that's a great thing. I mean, right now is a time that we haven't seen in a long time of people wanting to make change and agitating for change in a way that is upfront, in your face. Here we are, and we ain't going nowhere, and that's good. You know, we need that. We need that stimulation, that saying that it's not okay for us to be the way we have been. The status quo is not working, so we've got to work with that. So yeah, all the protesters, my hats are off to you. Keep up the good work. Hold all the people accountable. Talk truth to power. Go ahead and keep doing what you're doing, and we're behind you. We support you 100%. Okay, as I move forward, and I want to get through a lot of this, I've got a few things to talk about. I got to get through them pretty quick because I've got another meeting to go to. Of course, you don't care about that. But I wanted to talk about the body cameras. That's the thing that they're talking a little bit more about. I think the police department here in Kansas City is talking about getting them a lot more. I mean, it takes something like this to let you know, even though you say you don't think you have an issue or that there's a budget problem, that you can't get these cameras. And you know, for a lot of, you know, police departments, that's the thing that you wonder why people are wondering or talking about maybe defunding and stuff, but sometimes they look at priorities, you know, that we can buy tanks and things like that, but we can't buy body cameras, you know. So it's like, where are our priorities? sometimes. If all the police had on body cameras, had things like that to let us know that, yeah, they want to be held accountable for what goes on, for what they do, good and bad, then, you'd have more trust in them. But they say, well, we don't want to wear body cameras and this and that. And it's like, well, you don't want people to know what you're doing. It makes people a little bit suspicious, especially when you've seen things that have been caught on body camera. And everything caught on the body camera hasn't been bad. I mean, if you've watched some of the news shows and some of the things go on, you see some police doing some great things. They may be out there shooting hoops with the kids, making friends, doing good things, helping people, with rescues and stuff like that. So having a body camera on, or the talk of body cameras, doesn't just say it's going to catch the police doing bad things. It's going to catch you and point out the good things that you're doing in the community. It's not all one or the other and stuff. It shows, there's videos of police doing real humane, great things to help people that are people are really thankful for, but they don't get to see that either. So I think that the body camera thing is something that we need to really look at, because you talk about it and what goes on, but without the body cameras, without the cell phones and things like that, this George Floyd incident would have never happened. The fact that there's more citizens that are equipped with that, because think about it, and that's for all of us, is that we've heard that the police have killed someone, that they died in custody, that they died in a struggle, that they tried to make arrests and they died. And it's been, maybe a few people saying, well, they didn't have to kill him, and everybody else just kind of says, well, the police had to do it. I guess it was this and that. And you didn't see it, so you don't know. And you give the police the benefit of the doubt. So that's been going on, say, for years. Not to say that every killing has been something unjustified and stuff, but, when you see the George Floyd thing, then it makes you stop and think, though, wait a minute. Okay, that happened that time. Was that the first time something like that has happened? I think not. So having the cameras around nowadays is definitely a good thing. And some people say, well, you shouldn't be videoing, you should be out there trying to do something and stuff. Well, people do what they can. Now, some people may rush the police and take a chance on getting shot themselves and stuff to stop it and cool. Some people may record it. Some people may be that eyewitness at the account. I don't knock anybody. If you wasn't there and you wasn't jumping on the police, then, I don't know. We don't know what we would do in that situation. But I'm glad that somebody at least had the presence of mind to capture that, to know it was wrong, to capture that on video, because if it wasn't for that 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we would not be having the thing. We wouldn't have had all of the Juneteenth celebrations across the nation that we had. You wouldn't have all these companies making huge changes in how they are perceived and how they look, and having people like the NFL commissioner to come out and say, we were wrong, if it wasn't for that 8 minutes and 46 seconds. As his daughter said, her daddy changed the world. And that is out of the mouths of babes, because her daddy did change the world. That brutal killing that happened has spurred so many people to wake up, or to open their eyes, or to take action, or to say something and not just be shut down. It's been, earth-shaking. It's been a changing thing. So I think that body cameras, I think video cameras, carry your phone with you, have it ready to take that camera, because we all need to be held accountable. And we need to be held accountable ourselves. We need to have some videos, or do we have some videos of some of the crimes that are going on? There was another person killed on Vine, on the 18th and Vine area in the historic Vine district. We need to have some videos of that too. We need to find out what's going on. Why are people getting gunned down in the street and nobody knows? We need to have a video that was taken of those shootings there, so that we can hold everybody accountable for taking a life. If you take a life, that is wrong, and everybody should be held accountable. So it's not to say that the criminals or the people that are doing some shootings on the street get a pass on this. No. They are just as much a problem as the police are. You know, the fact that you can't have a business or a business area where you're trying to make a living and trying to feed your family and stuff, that there's so much violence going on that it ruins your business, ruins your livelihood. Not only that, but, you know, it just gives it that defeated community thought, you know, that people in the community start thinking that there's no hope, that we can't change it, that, you know, it's just something that happens. We don't know how to act. You know, we start blaming ourselves for a lot of things that go on. So we have to hold everybody accountable. Everybody that's taken a life, you know, that goes for the police, but that goes for the criminal also. Nobody should be given a pass about that. So, you know, that's my thought on it. I'm glad that we have the cameras. I think that it has been doing wonders, and that's about what technology is about. You know, if you think about technology, that's what you do with it. You know, it's helping to improve things. It's helping to shed light on some things that have been happening in the dark. But the cameras are making a difference in it, and that's technology. I mean, a few years ago, I bet you Martin Luther King and them would have wished they'd have had some cameras with them a lot of times when things were going on that people didn't see. You know, if CBS and the big news companies didn't come down, it didn't happen. You know, we don't know how many people were beat, had dogs sicked on them, and were just harassed on voter registration and stuff that you never saw anything or heard anything about it. You know, they were just saying something later, but the big news people weren't down there and nobody covered it, so it just didn't happen. That's why the police, that's why a lot of the things that went on in the South could go on so long that, you know, it didn't get reported. It didn't get put out there. But now, you know, with social media, with the cameras that everybody carries and stuff, no, news is ubiquitous. I mean, everybody's got it. You know, you can see it on the net real quick when it happens. Now, you got to be a good judge and use your discretion on some things that you see on there. But the fact that it can be recorded, and then it can be verified later, or it can be checked out, but you can record it, it can get posted, and instantaneously, all around the world, people are seeing it. You know, when George Floyd died in those 8 minutes and 46 seconds, it was a worldwide death. There was an agony and a groan that went out from mothers and from people who cared all around the world, you know, that they said, whoa. You know, it woke up. I mean, there's people in France and England and stuff that are protesting today about what goes on in their community because of what they saw then. So, you know, let's speak up good for being able to share that information, being able to get it out there. I know we have some complaints, we have some gripes about some of the big social media platforms, Facebook and them, of how they do things, what they show, what's allowed, all that. That's cool. You know, we got to hold everybody accountable, but that doesn't mean we stop using this technology. You know, if we have to create other platforms, if we come up with our own channels and stuff that we get the information out on, we need to have it. And as some people are saying, we need to make sure we keep the internet free. You know, Mozilla has been hollering about that a long time, that you don't want the internet, the speed, the bandwidth and stuff to be throttled out to just the highest dollar. So you got to think about some things you need to be aware of and that you need to fight for and need to get on. And keeping the internet open and free is something that you might want to think about, because that's something that's made this where you can communicate your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions around the world. People can see what's going on, what's happening to you, what you are doing, and all of that. And they're picking it up in Bangladesh and in Nigeria and in Kenya and in Alaska and on the Indian reservation. I mean, you know, they can be picked up anywhere. That's something that we want to keep happening. We want to have more of that, more openness, more ability to communicate with one another in a responsible way. You know, we do want to do it in a responsible way. But yeah, it's good. I'm glad that you tuned in. I wanted to let you know, too, as we go on to get ready to wrap up this show and move on to other programming, is that we are a part of the Cheryl Underwood Radio family. We are an affiliate station of Cheryl Underwood Radio. If you listen on our audio side from noon to 2 o'clock every day on KUAW.org or on the TuneIn app, or if you have one of those smart speakers, tell Alexa to play KUAW. Tell Siri, play KUAW. Talk to them speakers and tell them to play KUAW. You can pick us up in your house, in your car, anywhere you are, because we're out there. We're on the TuneIn app, and you can pick up KUAW across the country. You want to know what's going on in Kansas City, what BFTAA is talking about when you're down in Mississippi or when you're visiting friends in Los Angeles, just tune in to KUAW. You'll hear us right there, right then. If you have the internet where you can get us videoly, you can see us on the video. But, you know, we're out here 24/7. So we're part of the Cheryl Underwood Radio family. We're glad to be a part of them. We hope that you would listen to the show. And she has a call-in thing. They had a game they were giving away, but I want you to call in to Cheryl Underwood Radio and let them know that you're listening to her show on KUAW Radio in Kansas City. All you have to do is dial 1-855-CHERYL-1. So dial 1-855-CHERYL, that's SHERYL 1. And talk to Cheryl Underwood and let them know that you're listening to the Cheryl Underwood radio station on KUAW, that KUAW is an affiliate that brings you the latest and the greatest stuff for sure. She also has some programs that we run on Sunday. There's a Sunday gospel 2-hour show that we play in the morning, so you can listen to KUAW Sunday morning as you're getting ready for church or whatever that you're doing, and you can listen into a little bit of Bible study and gospel music there. There's also late night cupcaking. If you tune in on Friday nights and Saturday nights, you'll hear some of that music, some of that old school music, some of that slow, some Luther Vandross and stuff like that that's playing here. And we play that here. That's all from Cheryl Underwood Radio. And we hope that you take advantage and listen to that. But don't forget to call in at 1-855-CHERYL-1 and let them know that you're listening to Cheryl Underwood Radio on KUAW in Kansas City, Missouri. You also may be able to win something. Who knows? They're doing different things. They're helping out people who happen to be unemployed, having problems right now with funds. They're doing some work with that. And she's also doing big on voter registration. And that's something that we want to tell you about, that we want to step up on, because big elections coming in November, and there's deadlines for registration. You can't wait until November to register to vote, because you may be too late. So you need to check with the city. There's different people doing a campaign, and we think we're going to be part of one here in Kansas City. My wife has talked about the radio station doing a voter registration campaign, and I think we're going to see about doing that. But it's called the Turn Up, the Turnout campaign. So we want to turn up that turnout. That means we want you to get out there and vote. Turn up the turnout with KUAW Radio as part of the Black Radio Solidarity. So that means black radio stations from coast to coast are working on this. So part of Black Radio Solidarity is the Turn Up, the Turnout, voter registration, and the 2020 census engagement campaign. So we want you to be involved with the census. Give them your information. Don't hide from it. Don't say, oh, I don't want to do that. They'll know who I am. They know who you are anyway. You know, you ain't hiding from nobody and stuff. Y'all need to fill out the census. Tell them everybody that lives in the house and stuff, cousins, Bobo, you know, whoever's staying there and stuff. Get that all down, because that helps the community. That helps with dollars when they're being allocated to communities as part of different fundings and things like that. They look at the census data. So if you haven't been counted and stuff, then they say, well, there ain't that many people over there. Well, you know, half of them didn't want to be counted. So we've got to be involved in our civic responsibility to get the things that we need for our community. So Check out the Turn Up, the Turn Out campaign. Keep listening to KUAW Radio as we're trying to plan a voter registration drive right here for the radio station, and that'll be coming up. So we're going to be working on that. We want you to continue listening to KUAW Radio. We're glad that you're here today, and we hope that you will continue to join us on a weekly basis every Monday from 5 to 5:45. This is the BFTAA and More Show with your host, Louis George Walker, president of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. Glad that you're here. Glad that you joined with me. And let's stay tuned. Let's stay turned up for the turnout. And let's continue to hold the powers that be accountable for things going on in our city. Let's go ahead and make our voices heard for change in not just Kansas City, but in your city, in your town, wherever you are. So continue listening. We're going to have music going on. There's a few more talk shows that'll be happening. We're glad that you're here. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Be sure and listen to Warren Ballantyne's show, which will be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. And pick up Cheryl Underwood from 12 to 2. Then we'll start our terrific Tuesday lineup that starts with Senior Moments with Millie and goes till 9 o'clock at night with the Lene Gray Show. So we want you to be tuning in to us. Catch all these live shows that we have on Terrific Tuesday. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. This is George for the BFTAA and More Show saying I'm out of here. Bye.